Now it's my pleasure and privilege today to introduce to you to the recipient of the 2024 St. Lawrence College Honorary Diploma. This is the highest formal honor our college can bestow, and we are allowed to do this, but we are not required to do it. So we do not take this lightly. Accordingly, when we do it to recognize very special people. People who have been successful, yes, but more importantly, we tend to focus on people who apply their talents and use them for the greater good of their fellow citizens and the community at large. We also present honorary diplomas in order to bring before our graduates people who set the example that is worthy of your respect and who we hope will be able to share some of their experiences and wisdom to help inspire you to go forward from here and to be the best that you can be. Today, we're pleased to honor Neha Chugh, a passionate community leader who uses her legal expertise and commitment to social justice to make Cornwall a better place for all. Neha is the founding partner of Chugh Law. Established in 2014, Chugh Law is the largest law firm in the region, specializing in criminal, family, youth justice, and child protection law. A fierce advocate of social justice, she fosters continual positive change and progress for marginalized and underrepresented groups in the community and beyond. Neha has supported the increased recognition and advancement of trans rights in the Ontario judicial system and is a committed mentor to new lawyers through the South Asian Women's Law and Mentorship Program. She is involved in educational development programs for high school and post-secondary and also teaches Iahio Education and Training Institute. Neha has helped create and develop the Akwesasne Justice Department, where she continues to act as the legal aid clinic staff lawyer today. She sits on several community organization boards, including the Agape Food Bank and the Centre York for Supervised Access, and is currently a PhD student with Concordia University. Neha's commitment to social justice helps Cornwall a better place, and she has had a positive impact to the lives of many people. President Volbrug, graduates, honored guests, it is my pleasure to present to you our honorary diploma recipient, Neha Chugh.
Thank you, Dr. Romeo Lotus, for your very generous comments, President Volbrut, and all the St. Lawrence College Board of Governors. I'm honored and grateful to be invited here today to receive this honorary diploma. However, the true stars of today's ceremony are the graduating class of 2024. Congratulations, félicitations, Mubarak. The world is now at your fingertips. It is time for you to create, succeed, explore, make mistakes, big and small, and of course, take rest and time for quiet. It wasn't so long ago that I was sitting where you are, thinking about all of the hours and years I had endured to get to graduation. Actually, that is what I thought about for the first hour. For the second hour, I was thinking about, wow, this robe does not breathe. Is there a Wendy's on the drive home? And I wonder where my friends, and hopefully me, are partying tonight. It is an absolute honor to be standing up in front of you today as the recipient of this honorary diploma. To receive this great honor from the local Cornwall campus has such significant meaning to me. For the community of Cornwall to welcome me today with open arms, I am humbled. Like many of you in this room, I am a transplant to Cornwall, and I have worked every day to find my fit here. When I started my criminal law practice in Cornwall a decade ago, I looked around the criminal bar in Cornwall, and I did not see any lawyers who looked like me. Brown, female, young mothers. But I was still eager to bring my voice to the local bar. When you are an outsider, you will be reminded in many ways that you don't belong. For me, it was my deep love of this community and my work in criminal, family, and child protection law that kept me going. A few years into my practice, just a few days before I was leaving for Christmas break, I walked into the local library to grab my coat. I was 5 months pregnant with baby number 3, so getting my swollen feet out of my heels and into sneakers was an immediate priority. There is a table in the kitchenette of the local library where lawyers congregate to drink coffee, have lunch, to wait for their court matters to be called. This table represents collegiality, friendship, and is a space dedicated to lawyers. It is a table that symbolizes belonging within the legal profession. On that day in December, I walked towards the table, filled with my male colleagues, to say hello and Merry Christmas. "What are you doing here?" I was asked loudly and aggressively by the man at the head of the table. The rest of the men at the table stared at me, stone-faced. I felt my face get warm. I froze. I left embarrassed, alone, sad. Despite my excellent education, despite my commitment to justice, despite my good intentions, I did not have a seat at that table. In fact, I was not welcome even near the table. For the holidays, I was miserable. What was I doing here? Why am I here in Cornwall? Why can't I be at your table? Let's go back in history for just a moment. I grew up in the 1980s and 90s in southwestern Ontario. We were one of a handful of Hindu Punjabi families in Guelph, a small city about an hour west of Toronto. My mother's family immigrated from New Delhi, India in the 1970s, and my father from New Delhi in the early 80s. We looked different than our neighbors. We listened to different music. My parents were not shy about playing their mixtapes. Many of you in this room don't know what a mixtape is, I still remember, of Bhangra and ghazals as loud as they could. Our house always emitted a smell of garam masala. You could smell it down the street. And my mother's house in Ottawa, you can still smell it down the street. Garam masala and turmeric. My brothers and I were walking a delicate tightrope of negotiating our Indo-Canadian identities. We were always the outsiders. We were taunted at school for our funny Punjabi names and the way our clothes and hair smelled like my mom's cooking. When I contemplated what I wanted in a career, I was driven by a passion for advocacy, a desire to give voice to other outsiders like me and my brothers. The poor, the new immigrants, those struggling with mental illness. Our parents pushed us towards education, but it was my love of social justice and giving voice to the most vulnerable that kept me coming back to work every day. With the odds stacked against me, I found a path that let me use my education to carve out a space to be an advocate. After law school and articles in Toronto, marriage and my spouse's job brought our family east of our hometowns in 2013. Cornwall was brand new to me, and I was a pretty new criminal lawyer and a new mother with a toddler at home and baby number 2 in my belly. To say I was unsteady on my feet was an understatement. I found myself negotiating and renegotiating my identity once again. Motherhood and all of the changes in my life were exhausting, but the advocacy fire in my belly had not been snuffed out. Colleges, universities, law schools like the one I attended boast statistics that women are outpacing men, filling seats in higher education. But when you layer on factors like race, ethnicity, parental status, and region, we are still faced with major inequities, not just in pay, but also in treatment. By all statistical measures, I should not be here accepting this award. I am taking the space of the type of person who has traditionally accepted this award and stood up at this podium. This is a reflection of your collective values and the changing face of our community. For this, I am so grateful. So here is my answer to the question, what are you doing here? And like many great comebacks, this only took me 5.5 years to come up with. It might have been easier to start a practice in a larger city, one with more faces that look like mine, where it feels less daunting, but I had to keep showing up to work in Cornwall after that fateful December day to keep driving this change, to follow the leadership of Cornwall's Senator Bernadette Clement, who was the first Black woman to serve as a mayor of an Ontario city, our Cornwall Chief of Police, Shauna Spowert, Cornwall's first woman to lead our local police service. But I'm also very lucky to love the work that I do. It has been a great privilege to help children and teens and families to build bridges with each other during trauma and relationship breakdowns, to attempt to captivate a jury during closing arguments, or to rush to bail court in the morning and explain to worried parents what will happen in their children's cases, to connect community members with critical mental health services during crisis, to work on restorative justice initiatives in Akwesasne, helping rebuild, restore, and renew, to bring constitutional challenges in our local courts, and to advocate for the LGBTQ and trans community and to expand the law for their benefit, and to speak for women and the negative impact of gender-based violence at the Supreme Court of Canada, to give voice and speak for the access to justice needs of our community as bencher of the Law Society of Ontario in Toronto. So that is what I'm doing here. That is my table. This past December, after a long morning in court, I sat at that very table with two other women who I had worked with on a case. We kicked off our heels and made light conversation about the upcoming holidays. A few young male lawyers came up and started joking around with us. We greeted them warmly and continued our chat. I sat back in my chair and I savored that very moment. Now I look around the table that I have built and I see who I have included. To each person at my table, I express gratitude. My husband, Dr. Jeremy Clark, our three terrific kids, my office and staff, the lawyers at Chugh Law who bravely stood up and met our clients' needs every day, and the staff who work the front lines, my clients who have trusted me on the hardest days of their lives, the local human services agencies like the Agape Center, the York Center, and Tri-County Literacy, my professional colleagues who nominated me, who support me in my work every day, and who send me TikToks at the worst possible opportunities. And you, the students, the educators, the community of Cornwall, for making space for me and inviting me to your table. Dear graduates of 2024, here's my message for you. Go out there and build your tables. At your table, be inclusive and open-minded when it comes to who gets a seat. And when someone asks you the question, what are you doing here? Be ready with your answer. I am here at this table because of the change I am ready to make. Thank you, merci, miigwech, shukriya.
Thank you, Neha, and thank you, Dr. Romiolatis and Glenn, and congratulations, Neha.